Waitress donates blood to an emergency patient, unaware he's a billionaire, and return with a proposal. The rain slammed hard against the windows of the tiny coffee shop, a relentless downpour that turned the parking lot into a shimmering pool of gray. Anna wiped the last table with slow, practiced movements, her thin arms aching after a long shift. She glanced at the clock. Nearly closing time. She reached for her raincoat just as a loud metallic crash tore through the sound of the storm. She froze. Another crash, then a sickening crunch of metal on asphalt. Her instincts kicked in. Anna darted out the door, rain soaking her hair within seconds. Her sneakers skidded on the wet pavement as she turned the corner toward the main road. That was when she saw him. A man lay sprawled across the road, blood pooling beneath his head, his limbs at unnatural angles. The front of a dark sedan was crumpled a few yards away, its windshield shattered. No one else was around. "Hey, sir, can you hear me?" she called out, kneeling by him. No response. His chest rose, barely, but he was alive. Hands trembling, Anna pulled out her phone and dialed 911, her voice tight with urgency. "There's been an accident. A man's been hit by a car. He's not conscious. I don't know if he's going to make it." The dispatcher asked questions, but Anna's eyes stayed locked on the man's face. Blood streaked down from his hairline. His breathing was shallow. "I'm staying with him. Just hurry," she whispered, and ended the call. She tore off her apron and rolled it up to press gently against the wound on his head. She had never seen so much blood. Her stomach twisted, but she did not look away. Within minutes, sirens blared in the distance. When the ambulance arrived, paramedics rushed to her side, pushing her gently back. "You called it in?" one of them asked. "Yes, he was alone," Anna replied, wiping her hands on her soaked pants. The paramedics worked quickly, stabilizing him. "We've got a male, late 30s, significant trauma, heavy blood loss, no ID, no family on scene." "Do you know him?" another medic asked her. "No," Anna said, "but I'm going with you." They looked at her. "I was the first one here," she added. "Someone should go with him. No one should have to go through this alone." A medic hesitated, then nodded. "No, fine. Get in." Inside the ambulance, Anna held onto the stretcher rail as they sped through the streets. The interior was a blur of medical jargon, beeping machines, and soaked bandages. One of the medics cursed under his breath. "He's O negative. Extremely rare, and we're low on that blood type at every local bank right now." "What does that mean?" Anna asked, gripping the cold metal bar. "It means if he loses more blood, and we don't find a match fast, we might lose him." The medic met her eyes. "Unless we find someone who can donate, immediately." Anna's mind raced. "I'm O negative," she said softly. Both medics turned to look at her. "You sure?" one asked. "Yes. I gave blood once. Years ago." They exchanged a glance. "Do you weigh at least 110 pounds? She bit her lip. "No, not quite." "But then we can't." "I don't care," Anna interrupted. "I'll sign anything. I'll take the risk, please." One of them frowned. "Miss, we can't let you put yourself in danger. There are regulations." "I've watched someone die before because I didn't help," she said, voice breaking. "I can't do that again, not when I can do something this time." They hesitated. "Please," she whispered. "I'm not asking for anything. I just don't want him to die." The medic finally nodded. "We'll have to talk to the attending at the ER, but if you're willing to sign a consent and undergo a quick screening, they might approve a small unit." "Thank you," Anna whispered, eyes filled with tears. As they pulled into the emergency entrance, Anna looked down at the unconscious man beside her. His features were calm now, as if unaware of how close he was to slipping away. She reached for his hand, cold and stained with blood, and gripped it gently. "You're not alone," she murmured. "You're going to make it, I promise." The ambulance doors flew open. Floodlights, gurneys, nurses barking instructions, and Anna, soaked and shivering, followed the man she did not know into the chaos of the ER, ready to bleed for a stranger, because her heart would not let her do anything less. The white walls of the emergency room felt colder than the rain outside. Anna sat on a narrow bench, soaked to the bone, her thin fingers trembling against the clipboard that rested in her lap. Nurses rushed past, machines beeped, and behind the swinging doors, the man she had followed from the street clung to life by a thread. A doctor finally emerged, his expression tight and hurried. "You said you're O-negative?" he asked, scanning the form in his hands. "Yes," Anna said quickly, standing up. "We ran a quick test." "You are a match," he confirmed, then hesitated. "But I'm afraid we can't approve the donation." "What?" Her voice cracked. "Why not?" He looked at her apologetically. "You weigh only 44 kilograms. That's under the required minimum to donate whole blood safely." "I do not care about the rules," she blurted, voice rising above the din of the ER. "Please, just take what you can." The doctor's tone remained calm but firm. "We cannot put you at risk. Your body might not tolerate the loss. You could faint, go into shock. I would rather faint than watch someone die," Anna interrupted, tears forming fast. Several heads turned. A nurse paused mid-stride. Anna clenched her fist. "You don't understand. I have to do this." The doctor folded his arms. "Why? You don't even know him." "Because I've been here before," she whispered. He frowned. She took a shaky breath, her hands tightening around the clipboard. "When I was 18, my best friend, Liam, got into a motorcycle accident. He needed blood urgently. I was a match, but I was terrified. I'd never donated before. I hated needles. I panicked." She looked down, voice breaking. "I told the nurse I couldn't, that I'd come back the next day. But he didn't have a next day. He died that night." Silence fell between them. Anna wiped at her eyes, angry at herself. "Every day since then, I've wondered if I could have saved him. If maybe my blood would have been enough. But I didn't give it. I ran." She looked up, face pale and determined. "I'm not running this time. Please, doctor, let me do this." The doctor studied her, the tension in his brow slowly shifting into something more thoughtful. After a pause, he spoke more gently. "There are rare cases where, with informed consent and physician supervision, we allow a partial draw. It's not ideal, it's not common, but it's possible." "Yes," Anna said instantly. "I'll sign anything, just please. We'll have to monitor your vitals closely, and we can only take a very small amount, just enough to stabilize him, not for a full transfusion." "I understand." The nurse nearby stepped forward, clipboard in hand. "You'll need to sign a voluntary release. It states that you accept the risks of donating, underweight." Anna grabbed the pen without hesitation. Her signature shook but held firm. A few minutes later she sat on a reclined gurney, a tourniquet tied around her upper arm. The antiseptic burned her skin, but she did not flinch. The nurse inserted the needle. She closed her eyes. Images rushed back. Liam laughing under summer skies, the hospital corridor, her frozen feet that refused to walk toward the donor room, the call from his mother the next morning. She felt a tear slip down her cheek as her blood filled the bag. The nurse touched her shoulder. "We're halfway. You're doing great." Anna nodded, her breathing shallow. When it was over, they helped her lie down and rest. Her head spun, but a strange peace settled in her chest. Across the ER, her blood was already being rushed into the trauma room. She watched it go. The doctor returned 10 minutes later, his expression softer. "He's stable," he said. Anna blinked. "You bought him time. He was crashing. That unit, it made all the difference." She swallowed hard. "We're not out of the woods, but yes, he's going to make it." Anna let her eyes fall closed, exhaustion pulling at every muscle. Relief washed over her like warmth. She did not know the man's name, she did not know his story, but tonight she had rewritten her own, and this time she had not run. The first thing Michael noticed was the sterile smell, antiseptic, plastic, and something faintly metallic. Then came the weight in his chest, the sharp ache in his side, and the dull pressure around his head. He opened his eyes. Blinding white light, a ceiling fan spinning slowly above, the rhythmic beeping of a heart monitor, and then a memory. Not a clear one, but something blurred, as though underwater. A voice, a woman's voice, and her face, a hand gripping his as the ambulance roared through rain. "She was there," he murmured. A nurse glanced up from the corner of the room. "Mr. Sterling? You're awake." Sterling. That was his name. The nurse's voice confirmed it, but it felt distant, foreign. Michael tried to sit up, grimaced as pain lanced through his ribs. "Careful," the nurse warned, pressing a button to elevate the bed. "You've been unconscious for nearly 3 days. Internal bleeding, fractured clavicle, 2 cracked ribs. You're lucky to be alive." Michael barely heard her. "Where is she?" "Who?" "The girl, from the ambulance. She was holding my hand." The nurse hesitated. "I wasn't there, sir, but I can check with the paramedics." A few hours later, one of his assistants arrived. James, the one who always wore a dark tie and spoke in clipped sentences. He looked both relieved and tense. "Sir, thank God you're awake. I've already notified your family off. Security has been tight. We've kept all press away. They don't know you're here." Michael waved him off. "None of that matters. I need to find her." "Her, sir?" "The girl who saved me." James blinked. "We're still gathering information about the accident. You were hit by a car, hard to tell if it was a reckless driver or intentional. No ID on you at the time, only your phone, which was destroyed. The EMT said a civilian found you and rode with you in the ambulance, but she left before giving her name." Michael frowned. "Then start with the hospital security footage. Emergency room, ambulance bay. Find her." "Yes, sir." "And James." Michael looked up, his voice quieter. "She had brown hair. Small frame. She looked at me like I was just a person. Not a billionaire, not a Sterling, just a man who needed help." James nodded, more solemnly this time. "We'll find her." By nightfall, a team had been dispatched to review footage, cross-section faces, and follow up with paramedics. Meanwhile, Michael rested, if you could call it rest. His body ached in places he did not know could ache, but deeper than the physical pain was something else. It had been years since he'd felt that kind of touch, unconditional, urgent, and fearless. It brought him back to another moment. His younger brother, Evan, trapped in a wreck. Michael had arrived too late. No one had stopped, no one had helped. They just drove past. Michael had built walls after that, businesses, security, wealth. None of it had saved Evan. None of it had filled the hollow inside him. But she had stopped. She had climbed into the ambulance. She had stayed. "Find her," he whispered again, to no one in particular. Not out of obligation, but because something had shifted the moment he opened his eyes and remembered her face. Not the name, not the voice, just her presence, the girl who did not leave him to die. The bell above the cafe door jingled softly as Michael stepped inside. The air smelled of cinnamon and old wood, with the low hum of conversations and the hiss of espresso machines in the background. He stood out immediately, sharp charcoal suit, tailored perfectly, a bouquet of white lilies in one hand and a long envelope tucked under the other arm. Anna, wiping down a table near the window, looked up. She froze. He smiled gently. "You are Anna, right?" She nodded slowly, eyes narrowing with recognition and disbelief. You are the man from the ambulance." Michael stepped closer, but not too close. "I was hoping to find you. It took me a while." She eyed the flowers and the envelope warily. "Why?" "To thank you," he said sincerely, "for what you did. I don't even know your last name, but I've remembered your face every single day since." "I did what anyone should have done," Anna said, straightening. "You do not need to thank me." He held out the bouquet. "Please, just accept these." She hesitated, then took the flowers wordlessly. He slowly extended the envelope. "And this?" Before he could finish, she stepped back. "No," Michael blinked. "It's just a gesture." "No," she repeated, firmer now. "I did not donate blood for a reward. I did it because you were going to die." His hand dropped. "But you saved my life. And that life," she said quietly, "should not start again by putting a price tag on kindness." The words stung more than he expected. Michael, who had negotiated billion-dollar contracts, faced boardrooms of cynical investors, and built a life where gratitude was often written in checks and bonuses, he had never felt this. Small. "I just wanted to show my appreciation," he murmured. "You are alive," Anna said, folding the towel in her hand. "That is enough." He stared at her, unable to speak. She did not flinch under his gaze. "I do not want anything from you, Mr. Sterling." Michael was stunned. No one ever turned him down, not like this, Not when the sum inside that envelope could pay her rent for a year. She turned slightly, ready to return to her work. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "I did not mean to offend you." Anna looked over her shoulder. "You didn't offend me. You just reminded me that most people think goodness needs to be paid for." With that, she walked behind the counter, leaving Michael standing alone, flowers accepted, money refused. He looked down at the envelope, then slipped it back inside his jacket, untouched. As he left the cafe, Michael Sterling realized something he had not felt in years. Awe, not of wealth or power, but of a person who asked for neither. Michael became a regular. At first it was just coffee, black, no sugar. He sat in the corner of the cafe, away from the crowd, laptop sometimes open, other times untouched, but his eyes often wandered. To Anna, the girl with the tired smile, the graceful hands, and a presence so quiet yet grounding. He never brought flowers again, never mentioned the envelope. Instead, they talked. It started with small exchanges: weather, the morning rush, the broken espresso machine. Then one day, Michael asked, "What made you want to work here?" Anna wiped her hands on a towel, leaned against the counter and shrugged. "It is a job. After Mom got sick, I had to drop out of college. I was studying to be a teacher. But bills do not wait for dreams." Michael leaned in, listening without interrupting. "I work mornings here, afternoons at the bookstore. Evenings I help my little brother with his med school applications," she said, her eyes glowing just for a second. "He is going to be a great doctor one day." "You gave up your dream for his." She smiled faintly. "That is what family does, right?" Michael was quiet for a long time. Then he murmured, "I had a brother, younger. He died in a car crash. No one stopped to help." Anna's expression softened. "I am so sorry. He was all I had," Michael added, voice low. "Since then, I stopped believing in people." Anna tilted her head. "And yet, here you are." He looked at her, something unspoken passing between them. "I think your kindness was the first thing that made me feel again." That night, Michael could not sleep. He walked the streets until rain began to fall, soft and steady. He found himself outside the cafe again, past midnight. The street was empty, lights dimmed, the closed sign swinging gently in the breeze. Then he heard it, the soft, off-pitch clang of metal on metal. It was the wind chime that hung above the cafe's door, or had hung. Now it lay on the ground, twisted, one string torn. The little bell cracked. Michael remembered it faintly from his first visit, its dull notes marking his arrival. Anna had once told him, offhandedly, that it was her mother's. He bent down, picked it up carefully, and held it like a fragile secret. The next morning, before sunrise, he returned. The cafe was still closed. He stood on the wet step, coat damp, fingers raw from cold. With a strip of his own bandage tape, he had it from an old hiking kit, he reattached the chime to its hook. The repair was uneven, imperfect, but it held. He left a note, folded and wedged into the doorframe. When Anna arrived that morning, she paused. Her eyes lifted to the chime, now gently swaying in the breeze, its uneven notes dancing between rain droplets. She touched it with reverence, then unfolded the note. "This sound kept me from losing my way." She stood for a long time in silence. Her fingers closed around the note. Days passed. Their conversations deepened. Anna spoke of her mother, how her laugh used to fill the kitchen, how cancer took her voice long before it took her body. Michael listened. He spoke little about his own wealth or company. He wanted her to know him as a man, not a billionaire, and somewhere between empty coffee cups and shared stories, something shifted. One evening, Anna sat with him on the back steps during closing. The sky was painted in bruised purples and soft orange. "I keep thinking," Michael said, "about what you did, about how you saved me, not just with blood." Anna looked at him. "I did not do anything special." "Yes, you did," he said, voice raw. "I've spent years building things, fixing systems, solving problems, but I never fixed myself, and somehow a stranger in a cafe did." She looked down at her hands. "Maybe we both needed saving." Michael reached over, gently placing his hand atop hers. "I never imagined a single drop of blood could bring someone back to life," he said. "But it did, literally and in every other way." And in that quiet moment, neither spoke. Not because there was nothing left to say, but because sometimes silence says everything. The sun had just begun its descent, casting long shadows across the small cafe as Michael stirred his untouched coffee. Anna wiped down the counter, occasionally glancing at him. Something about his posture was different, tense, yet hopeful. Finally, he stood and walked over. "Anna," he began, voice quieter than usual, "I want to ask you something, not as the man you saved, not as a customer, but as someone who believes you have something this world needs more of." She raised an eyebrow, half amused, half wary. "This sounds serious." Michael nodded. "I want to start something, a nonprofit, a network of hospitals, donors, volunteers, a way for people with rare blood types to get help, fast. I want to call it Life Chain." Anna paused, cloth frozen in her hands. "I can fund it," he continued. "I can get the logistics, the partnerships, but I need someone who understands the heart of it. Someone who knows what it means to give not because of reward, but because it is right." She stared at him, unsure whether to be touched or suspicious. "You want me to help you run this?" "I want you to build it with me." Anna leaned back, arms crossed. "You are a billionaire, Michael. You live in penthouses, have private drivers, wear suits that cost more than my rent. What do you know about sacrifice?" The words hung in the air like a dare. Michael swallowed, gaze steady. "I know what it feels like to have everything and still lose the one person who meant everything. My brother died because help did not come fast enough. No one stopped, no one tried. I've lived with that silence for years." Anna blinked, taken off guard by the rawness in his voice. "I could not save him," Michael added, "but maybe I can help save someone else's brother, or mother, or child." Anna set the cloth down slowly. "And this isn't just another pet project for your PR team? No press, no spotlight? I give you my word, just people helping people. That's all." She studied him for a moment longer, then nodded. "All right, but we do it on my terms." He smiled, relief visible on his face. "Name them." "No interviews, no donors' galas, no credit cards in exchange for blood donations. We build this to work in silence where it matters." Michael extended his hand. "Deal." The next few weeks were a blur. Anna had never seen the inside of a boardroom before, but now she sat in one, across from hospital directors and emergency response coordinators. Michael gave her space, always letting her speak first, always backing her up. They called the project Life Chain. Each node in the network would track donors by blood type and location, alerting them in real time if someone nearby needed help. Volunteers were trained, hospitals equipped, protocols streamlined. And most importantly, it was free. No insurance, no bills, just help. Anna found herself waking earlier than usual, staying up later than she thought possible. And Michael? He looked more alive than ever. Not because of wealth, but because, for once, he was building something that could not be sold. One evening after a long meeting, Anna sat with Michael under a city bridge where the first Life Chain mobile unit was being prepped. The hum of equipment, the soft glow of LED lights, and the sound of quiet, purpose filled the air. "Do you ever think," Anna asked, "how different things might have been if someone had stopped for your brother?" Michael looked at her, a soft sadness in his eyes. "Every day." She touched his hand, just briefly. "Well, now someone will." And in that moment, between strangers, no longer strangers, something warmer than blood began to flow. The buzz of conversation echoed through the modest community hall in the heart of a small town, one of many stops on the Life Chain outreach tour. Posters lined the walls, faces of survivors and volunteers, real stories of last-minute rescues and unexpected heroes. At the center of it all stood Anna, holding a warm cup of jasmine tea, her eyes kind but modest. Life Chain had grown faster than anyone anticipated. Hospitals from coast to coast had joined. Dozens of lives had already been saved through the rapid response donor system. And yet, Anna remained unchanged, still the same waitress who once wiped tables and believed that kindness was not for sale. Michael stood nearby, watching her. She was speaking with a mother who had donated blood after her son's accident. Anna held the woman's hands, listening with her whole presence. Someone asked Anna to give a short talk. She hesitated, then stepped up. "I am not here because I am a hero," she said. "I am here because once, when I was 18, someone I loved needed me, and I did nothing. I was scared. I let fear make a choice for me, and he died. Since then, I've lived with the weight of that silence." She looked around at the faces, some grateful, some tearful. "Now, I do this, not to erase the past, but to make peace with it. I do what I can so that someone else does not have to feel that regret. We don't always get second chances, but when we do, we should honor them." The room broke into gentle applause. Anna stepped down, cheeks flushed, and Michael met her halfway, offering a paper napkin for her tears. They traveled together from town to town, schools, clinics, community centers. In every place, Anna was greeted not as a celebrity, but as a sister, a daughter, a friend. Her presence comforted people in a way no money or fame could replicate. Michael began to change in ways even he did not expect. He no longer carried 2 phones. He stopped using a driver. On the road, he learned to set up mobile blood units, handle coolers, even speak gently to terrified parents. One morning, Anna brewed a small pot of jasmine tea at a clinic while preparing care packages for new donors. Michael sat quietly nearby, reading paperwork. He accepted the tea, sipped, and smiled. "You know, I used to start my day with a triple espresso, burn my tongue every morning." Anna chuckled. "And now? Now I let things steep," he said. Weeks later, during a board meeting back in the city, a well-meaning assistant placed a sleek cup of artisan coffee in front of him. Michael looked down, then pushed it aside gently. "Thank you, but I've found something that calms the storm better." The team looked puzzled, but he only smiled and sipped from his thermos, filled with jasmine tea. Anna discovered it by accident, while waiting in his office before a donor strategy meeting. She opened a cabinet looking for pens and found a neatly stacked collection of tea boxes, all jasmine, each with a handwritten note. On one box, written in his neat script, "Drink to remember why I woke up again." Her breath caught for a second. She said nothing. During one of their last visits of the season, they arrived at a rural clinic just as a young girl collapsed from anemia in her father's arms. The team sprang into action. Michael coordinated with the hospital. Anna knelt beside the girl, holding her hand, whispering softly while doctors worked. The girl's fingers curled around Anna's palm. Her breathing slowed. When it was over and the girl stabilized, Anna stepped outside to catch her breath. Michael followed, watching her from a few feet away. "You did it again," he said. She turned. "We did it. All of us." "No," he said softly. "That little girl, she will grow up because of your hands, because you stayed calm, because you believe in something that can't be bought." Anna looked at him, startled by the emotion in his voice. "You don't just give blood, Anna," he whispered. "You give life. Every time." She did not reply, but the silence between them was thick with meaning. Michael had stepped into this journey thinking he could repay a debt, but somewhere along the way he realized some debts are not meant to be repaid. They are meant to be lived. And that was what he was doing now, living for the first time. The Grand Hall in downtown Chicago gleamed under the soft lights of 100 chandeliers. Rows of white chairs lined the space, each filled with doctors, donors, volunteers, and families, many of whom were alive today because of a few precious drops of blood. At the front stood a sleek, modern podium bearing the life chain emblem, a golden heartbeat wrapped in a circle of linked hands. Anna stood at the back of the hall, her heart pounding harder than ever. She wore a simple blue dress, her hair pinned back, a volunteer name badge still clipped to her chest. She did not expect to be in the spotlight today. This was a year since Life Chain was born, a year since one drop of blood changed both their lives. The MC cleared his throat and introduced the keynote speaker. Michael Sterling stepped up to the podium in a gray suit that somehow looked both sharp and effortless. The room hushed as his gaze swept across the crowd. "A year ago," he began, "I was dying. Not just physically, though that was certainly part of it, but in a deeper way. I was disconnected from the world, from purpose, from people. I believed in systems, not souls, in contracts, not kindness. He paused. And then one day, in the back of an ambulance, a stranger refused to let me die. She was small, barely strong enough to stand against hospital rules. But she did. She pushed through fear, through memories that haunted her, and she gave me a second chance. Anna's hands tightened around the program in her lap. She looked down, cheeks warm, unsure where this was going. Michael continued, his voice steady but thick with feeling. That drop of blood, it kept my heart beating, but what followed kept my spirit alive. Her words, her example, her refusal to accept praise or money. She challenged me to live not just as a survivor, but as someone worthy of being saved. He turned from the podium. I want to call someone up here today. She does not know this is coming, and she will probably scold me later, but Anna Whitaker, would you join me? The crowd turned. Anna froze, eyes wide. One of the volunteers nudged her gently. She stood slowly, legs unsteady, and walked to the stage amid growing applause. When she reached Michael, he took her hand. "Hi," he whispered. "Sorry for the ambush." She gave a tiny laugh. "You're going to regret this if I faint." He chuckled, then turned back to the microphone. "Everyone, this is Anna. Some of you know her as the girl who started Life Chain with me, others as the voice behind our donor training videos. But to me, she is the one who saved my life, not just by giving blood, but by giving everything she is." Then he stepped back, took a deep breath, and knelt. The hall went completely silent. Michael pulled a small velvet box from his pocket and opened it to reveal a ring. Simple, elegant, with a single sapphire stone. "Anna," he said, voice shaking slightly, "you may not weigh enough to donate a full pint of blood, but your heart holds more than anyone I've ever known. You are the reason I wake up every morning with purpose. You're my second chance, my light, my home. Will you marry me?" Anna gasped softly, tears springing to her eyes. For a moment, her past flashed through her mind, the hospital room where she failed to save her best friend, the guilt she carried for years, the fear that she would never be enough. But that was then. Now, here she was, on a stage, with a man who saw everything in her and asked for nothing but her love. She dropped to her knees too, facing him, both of them crouched in front of hundreds of witnesses. "I could not save the person I loved years ago," she whispered, "but if tomorrow I get to be your wife, I'll keep saving, with love." The audience erupted into applause. Cameras flashed, not for tabloids, but to capture a moment of redemption, of healing, of something true. Michael slipped the ring onto her finger and they stood together, holding hands as the Life Chain banner unfurled behind them. It was never about blood, not really. It was about connection, about the invisible lines that tie strangers together through acts of courage and care. And in that moment, Michael and Anna were not billionaire and waitress, not founder and They were simply two people, bound not by status, but by a promise that had once been made in silence and now spoken aloud, to live for each other. Every day, for the rest of their second chances. If this story touched your heart, even just a little, imagine how many more lives can be changed by simple acts of kindness. Anna gave more than blood. She gave a second chance, not just to a man, but to a soul in need of remembering what it means to feel, to care, to love. If you believe in stories that heal, that stir something deep inside you, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to Soul Stirring Stories for more powerful, true-to-the-heart tales like this. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment where compassion changes everything, because sometimes it only takes one small act to rewrite someone's whole life.